Malleus Maleficarum Part 1. Question 1. Whether the belief that there are such beings as witches is so essential a part of the Catholic faith that obstinately to maintain the opposite opinion manifestly savors of heresy. It is argued that a firm belief in witches is not a Catholic doctrine. See Chapter 26, Question 5 of the work of Episcopus. Whoever believes that any creature can be changed for the better or the worse, or transformed into another kind or likeness, except by the Creator of all things, is worse than a pagan and a heretic. When they report such things are done by witches, it is not Catholic, but plainly heretical, to maintain this opinion. Moreover, no operation of witchcraft has a permanent effect among us, and this is the proof thereof, for if it were so, it would be effected by the operation of demons. But to maintain that the devil has power to change human bodies or to do them permanent harm does not seem in accordance with the teaching of the Church. In this way they could destroy the whole world and bring it to utter confusion. Every alteration that takes place in a human body, for example, a state of health or a state of sickness, can be brought down to a question of natural causes, as Aristotle has shown in his 7th book of Physics. And the greatest of these is the influence of the stars. But the devils cannot interfere with the stars. This is the opinion of Dionysius in his epistle to Polycarp. This alone God can do. Therefore, it is evident the demons cannot actually effect any permanent transformation in human bodies. That is to say, no real metamorphosis. The power of God is stronger than the power of the devil, so divine works are more true than demoniac operations. Whence, inasmuch as evil is powerful in the world, then it must be the work of the devil always conflicting with the work of God. Therefore, as it is unlawful to hold that the devil's evil craft can apparently exceed the work of God, so it is unlawful to believe that the noblest works of creation, that is to say, man and beast, can be harmed and spoiled by the power of the devil. Moreover, that which is under the influence of a material object cannot have power over corporeal objects. But devils are subservient to certain influences of the stars, because magicians observe the course of certain stars in order to evoke the devils. Therefore, they have not the power of effecting any change in a corporeal object, and it follows that witches have even less power than the demons possess. For devils have no power at all save by a certain subtle art. But an art cannot permanently produce a true form. A certain author says, "Writers on alchemy know that there is no hope of any real transmutation. Therefore the devils, for their part, making use of the utmost of their craft, cannot bring about any permanent cure or permanent disease. But if these states exist, it is in truth owing to some other cause, which may be unknown, and has nothing to do with the operations of either devils or witches. But according to the decretals, the contrary is the case. If by witchcraft or any magic art permitted by the secret but most just will of God, and aided by the power of the devil." The reference here is to any act of witchcraft which may hinder the end of marriage, and for this impediment to take effect, 3 things can concur, that is to say, witchcraft, the devil, and the permission of God. Moreover, the stronger can influence that which is less strong. But the power of the devil is stronger than any human power, Job excel. There is no power upon earth which can be compared to him, who was created so that he fears none. Answer. Here are 3 heretical errors which must be met, and when they have been disproved, the truth will be plain. For certain writers, pretending to base their opinion upon the words of S. Thomas, Iv 24, when he treats of impediments brought about by magic charms, have tried to maintain that there is not such a thing as magic. It only exists in the imagination of those men who ascribe natural effects, the cause whereof are not known, to witchcraft and spells. There are others who acknowledge indeed that witches exist, but they declare that the influence of magic and the effects of charms are purely imaginary and phantasmical. A third class of writers maintain that the effects said to be wrought by magic spells are altogether illusory and fanciful, although it may be that the devil does really lend his aid to some witch. The errors held by each one of these persons may thus be set forth and thus confuted. For in the very first place, they are shown to be plainly heretical by many orthodox writers, and especially by S. Thomas, who lays down that such an opinion is altogether contrary to the authority of the saints. It is founded upon absolute infidelity. Because the authority of the Holy Scriptures says that devils have power over the bodies and over the minds of men when God allows them to exercise this power. This is plain from very many passages in the Holy Scriptures. Therefore, those err who say that there is no such thing as witchcraft, but that it is purely imaginary, even although they do not believe that devils exist except in the imagination of the ignorant and vulgar. The natural accidents which happen to a man he wrongly attributes to some supposed devil. For the imagination of some men is so vivid that they think they see actual figures and appearances. These are but the reflection of their thoughts, and then these are believed to be the apparitions of evil spirits, or even the specters of witches. But this is contrary to the true faith, which teaches us that certain angels fell from heaven and are now devils. We are bound to acknowledge that by their very nature they can do many wonderful things which we cannot do. Those who try to induce others to perform such evil wonders are called witches. And because infidelity in a person who has been baptized is technically called heresy, therefore such persons are plainly heretics. As regards those who hold the other two errors, who do not deny that there are demons and that demons possess a natural power, but who differ among themselves concerning the possible effects of magic and the possible operations of witches. The one school holding that a witch can truly bring about certain effects, yet these effects are not real, but fantastical. The other school allowing that some real harm does befall the person or persons injured, but that when a witch imagines this damage is the effect of her arts, she is grossly deceived. This error seems to be based upon two passages from the canons where certain women are condemned who falsely imagine that during the night they ride abroad with Diana or Herodias. Yet because such things often happen by illusion and are merely in the imagination, those who suppose that all the effects of witchcraft are mere illusion and imagination are very greatly deceived. Secondly, with regard to a man who believes or maintains that a creature can be made or changed for better or for worse, or transformed into some other kind or likeness by anyone save by God, the Creator of all things alone, is an infidel and worse than a heathen. Wherefore, if witchcraft is wrought, it cannot be real but must be purely fantastical. These errors contradict the obvious meaning of the canon. Thus we will prove our points by the divine law, as also by ecclesiastical and civil law. To commence, the expressions of the canon must be treated of in detail. The divine in many places commands that witches are not only to be avoided, but also they are to be put to death. It would not impose the extreme penalty if witches did not truly make a compact with devils to bring about real harms. The penalty of death is not inflicted except for some grave crime. It is otherwise with death of the soul, which can be brought about by the power of a fantastical illusion, or even by the stress of temptation. This is the opinion of S. Thomas when he discusses whether it be evil to make use of the help of devils. In the 18th chapter of Deuteronomy, it is commanded that all wizards and charmers are to be destroyed. The 19th chapter of Leviticus says, "The soul which goeth to wizards and soothsayers to commit fornication with them, I will set my face against that soul, and destroy it out of the midst of my people." A man or woman in whom there is a pythonical or divining spirit dying, let them die, they shall stone them. Those persons are said to be pythons in whom the devil works extraordinary things. Moreover, this must be borne in mind, that on account of this sin Ocosius fell sick and died. Also Saul. We have the weighty opinions of the fathers who have written upon the Scriptures and about the power of demons and of magic arts. The writings of many doctors upon Book 2 of the Sentences may be consulted, and it will be found that they all agree that wizards and sorcerers by the power of the devil can produce real and extraordinary effects. These effects are not imaginary, and God permits this to be. I will not mention those places where S. Thomas discusses operations of this kind, as for example in his Summa contra Gentiles, in the second of the second, questions 92 and 94. We may further consult the commentators and the exegetes who have written upon the wise men and the magicians of Pharaoh. We may also consult what S. Augustine says in the City of God. See further his second book on Christian doctrine. Very many other doctors maintain the same opinion, and it would be folly for anyone to contradict all these, as he could not be cleared of the guilt of heresy. Any man who gravely errs in an exposition of Holy Scripture is rightly considered to be a heretic. Whosoever thinks otherwise concerning these matters which touch the faith that the Holy Roman Church holds is a heretic. There is the faith,